Time is 6:01. I call this meeting to order. I'll take the roll call. Jan2.
Here.
Rebecca Ward.
Here.
Ryan Miller.
Here.
Bill Crouch.
Here.
And Alex Crawford here. Has the meeting been duly noted?
Yes, 48-hour proper notice.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I second. Bill second. Okay, all those in favour of approving the agenda say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, this is a special meeting of the Board of Directors, and the purpose of this meeting is to select a professional engineer to produce what is required per the letter from Santa Rosa County Engineer Chris Phillips, and I will read the letter. To recap the meeting that took place yesterday, if you can't hear, shout out, especially those on the phone. The purpose of the meeting was to let everyone know specifically what would be required to bring the existing basins into compliance. Santa Rosa County will need a site plan for the area to be submitted to the Development Services Department at some point in the next 90 days. This site plan shall be prepared by an engineer registered in the state of Florida. Until a site plan is approved by the county, there shall be no further work taking place in the area except applying vegetation to those areas suspect to erosion. Grass seed was discussed and will be okay in the interim until the site plan approval is reached. The engineer you hire should look at what you have on the ground and apply a drainage analysis to see how your infrastructure will behave in a 100-year storm. The ponds and, more importantly, the discharge structures must be analyzed to make sure they can pass through the 100-year storm event without catastrophic failure like has happened in recent years. Also, the constructed berm should be analyzed to make sure the material used for construction can hold back the stormwater runoff that will reach them. As discussed, the berms will likely have to be reinforced with an impenetrable core so they do not blow out again. Your engineer will make a recommendation as to what material that will be. We recommend any additional work that you may decide to do in the immediate future be included on this site plan submittal so we may review it, and most importantly that these improvements be taken into account with the design your engineer settles on for the ponds. A few things such as beach renourishment and re-establishing the gravel RV pads were mentioned and should be included on your plan. The whole idea here is to get an approved site plan showing all of the improvements to the area in question, so that if you decide to do additional work, it will be easy for an engineer to add those features either on this submittal or future submittals, so that we all don't have to worry what was permitted and what wasn't years from now. We look forward to working with the engineer you select in coming up with a permitted plan so you can go forward in establishing a permanent solution to your south end erosion issue that you won't have to rebuild every few years. Do not hesitate to give me a call if you have further questions. The date of this meeting, or the date of his letter, was November the 21st. Okay, Mr. Crouch?
I'd like to make a motion that we discuss and review the bids to select a professional engineer per the letter by Chris Phillips from Santa Rosa County.
Second motion.
Those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. 5-0. Okay.
I have 4 bids in front of me. Well, actually, I do have 4, but one was wanting $1,000 to submit a bid.
They actually refused that bid.
I have 3 bids in front of me. We have one from Fab 8 Engineering and Surveying. I do believe that they're from Pensacola. Is that correct? I don't see their address.
Gregory Square.
Gregory Square.
It's at the bottom of it.
Oh, okay. Gregory Square, Robertsdale, Alabama. Okay. I have one from Jason
Excuse me,
Rebo.
Bill,
Yes.
119 Gregory Square, Pensacola.
Okay, we have several of them here. We have 19 Gregory Square, Pensacola, Professional Drive, Robertsdale, and a couple of phone numbers. So he has multiple locations. Thank you. We have one from Rebo Battle and Associates, and they are from 9th Avenue in Pensacola. And we have one from Municipal Engineering Services, and they are located Turkey Bluff Road, Navarre, Florida. So we have one local and two outside of our area. The bids amounts, the highest bidder is from Jason Rebo. Now, we tried to make sure that these bids were apples to apples and oranges to oranges, so we asked them to bid on a certain criteria. I do believe that was correct, was it not?
What they actually did, they spoke with Chris Phillips, and in fact, Phil Phillips, who is no relation to Chris Phillips, was at the meeting on the 21st.
So what you're saying is all these have talked with Chris Phillips with the San Jose County Engineering Department,
I'm not sure about Jason Vogel.
but at least two of them have.
I'm getting a yes, they
Yes.
did too.
Yes, yes. So all three of the engineering companies talked to Chris Phillips, which is the engineer that produced the letter that we have to accommodate by. We have three bids with prices on it. Two of them look almost identical as far as the scope of work, and another one really just listed the categories on a single page and just put a lump sum total. We do have several that are in line, like for instance, we have all three of these bids have a survey charge, varying from $3,700 to $8,700. We have a stormwater analysis. We have one that says drainage analysis, and I assume that that's stormwater analysis, varying from $3,100 to $6,100. We have construction document preparation and construction documents, and then we have development of site plan, which all of them I think are very, very similar, and they vary from $4,100 to $6,000. And then we have a third one, which is for any permitting that is necessary. One is $2,000, one is $4,500, and the other one says geotechnical coordination. So I assume that has something to do with permitting. After reviewing the technical structures of these bids and also being involved with the meeting that we had on the south end of the county with not only Chris Phillips and not only one of the engineering firms, but with a couple of other engineers from the county and also from the Holly by the Sea water system. I came up with the realization that the most apt person to help us was the person that has actually walked the facilities and looked at what we have down on the south end, and that would be Phil Phillips with the Municipal Engineering Services. Out of the three bids, we have one bid from Fabre at $14,887, and that's broken down into four categories. The primary category would be the one that Chris Phillips wants the most is the drainage analysis. Theirs is $6,000.
Bill, can I interrupt you?
Yes.
And looking at Fabre's, you mentioned that Phil Phillips was at the site, but also,
I can't hear Jan.
Fabre was at the site also?
Can you hear now?
Yes, if you raise her voice a little, please.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
All right, I was just making the point, Bill had said how Phil Phillips had walked the site, and according to, Mr. Fabre's, I don't know what his actual name is, Frank Fabre, it says that, recent site visit to the recreational center on December 8th, so I would say they both saw the site,
Okay.
okay?
Do you know whether the third one, Jason Rebo Battle, whether they had visited the site or not?
But not that I could tell.
Okay. So we basically have two of these quotes that have had a personal visit to our site. The Fabre Engineering, their total, now it's my understanding that one of the reasons that it was broken down this way is so that if we don't need one of their categories, that we're not going to be charged for it. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And there's also some further notes in there that we don't, if we do need some of it, we don't have to use it all. We can use a portion of it if they feel like that they need to use a portion of that category. Is that also correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So out of this 14,887 bid we have from Fabre, it's possible that we could use all of it or we could use just a part of it. The part that concerns the 100-year storm would be falling under the drainage analysis. And with Fabre, that's $6,062. With Reball Battle, it's $6,100. And with municipal engineering, it's $3,100. If we look at the rest of the items on there, like the site survey, which is what also the county would like to have, that's with Fabre, it's $3,792. With Reball Battle, it's $8,700, and with municipal, it's $4,400. Now, those are the two main categories that Chris Phillips with the county wanted us to address. There's also additional categories that we have on each of these bids. One is additional permitting if we have to do any additional work. And each of these organizations have bid that. One is from $4,500, one is $2,000, and then we have another one that is, I assume that it's $900, but I'm not sure because it wasn't listed as permitting. And then the construction document preparation, that if we do have to have additional efforts to bring it to the 100-year, then we have to have additional documents to be prepared and additional engineering along those lines. Did Jeff comment?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. My motion would be that we accept the municipal engineering services quote of $15,500. Hopefully we don't spend all that, but up to $15,500.
I second that.
Can I ask a question?
Can I put it on the table first, and then you most certainly can. Okay,
Sure.
it has been motioned and seconded to accept the bid for municipal engineering services for $15,500, all of which we might not use. Any discussion? Please go ahead, Rebecca.
Thank you. I'm just wondering, are you either planning or hoping to include the engineer that is selected and voted for at the DEP meeting, January 6th at 10 a.m.?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
You can still discuss, right?
yeah, go ahead.
Could you just explain to me why you picked Phillips?
I picked Phillips. We have two bids that are like within $1,000 of each other. I picked Phillips because I physically walked the site with him, and I talked with him, and I felt very comfortable with him. And he is also very much in the knowledgeable position to help us a lot more than I realized that Fabre can. Now, I also know that municipal engineering does a lot of work with the Navarre Water Board and the Navarre Water Company, and they're very, very skilled at actually determining the stormwater in our area because they live here and they work here.
And I would like to add in addition, certainly this company is very familiar with going to the DEP and dealing with the DEP. So this company are very familiar with the two requirements. One we definitely know we have to produce for Chris Phillips. And Chris Phillips was very comfortable with him at that meeting. In fact, he sent a copy of his email to Phil Phillips.
One more question, if I could.
Sure.
I'm not sure that I heard everything that Bill had to say in regard to Phil Phillips' company. Was there any request from the county, from Chris Phillips, in regard to ABCs?
Chris Phillips did state that they had to be a licensed engineer in Santa Rosa County. So I don't know whether he was saying that they have to have an office here, but they have to be licensed in the Santa Rosa County area.
No, I'm not referring to an office as-built.
I don't understand the
Information
question.
in regard to as-built, and would that be an additional cost? And do we have any idea how much that might be?
We do have a survey and allowance, from what I understand, would be taking and producing the as-bills, and that is additional. When I had originally talked with Phil Phillips, he had given me a figure, and I have his original quote here of $3,100 to do the survey that Chris Phillips with the Santa Rosa County required of us on the 100-year storm.
I was just going to say, we went on and added almost like the worst case scenario so that all the quotes would be comparable.
Yeah, I understand, and I appreciate that effort. I guess what I'm getting at is I'm certainly not an engineer, even though Mr. Miracle gave me 101 on engineering at a board meeting. My question is a survey the same as an as-built? Would a survey qualify for that if that's a document that we have to keep on file and or produce for either DEP or the county?
It's my understanding that it is.
Okay, so a survey and an as-built are the same. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Hang on a second.
Hang on. Would Mr. Stevens or Mr. Downing like to comment on this, since they were at the meeting? Because, thank you.
Can you hear me, Rebecca?
I can, thank you.
An as-built, what you're talking about, it's not an approved plan. It's just a plan that I think you're referring, are you referring to the ones that Roads Inc. drew up?
Well, yeah, I guess so.
Okay.
It's terminology that I'm not entirely familiar with.
Well, that's what I thought.
That was something that maybe we might need, and perhaps it didn't get bid on. So I guess my question is, are we expecting an additional charge, and how much would that charge be?
Well, I think they gave you the numbers was all included in there, but what you're talking about, that as-built plan that Roads Inc. drew up that you're looking at, that was never ever approved by the county, okay? And the letter that Hollywood C got back from Chris Phillips is asking for a licensed engineer from the state of Florida draw up these plans and include this stuff that's back there that down through the years, for whatever the reasons may be, since the developer left, none of this was ever drawn up and put into plans for the county. They're wanting to get us up to date on what's going on the back 40. So the as-built, they probably could use some information off of it, but they still gotta draw up new surveys and new plans for that, okay?
I don't think she's suggesting that I think she's really talking about roads. I think she's asking if within these quotes, then these, will they be required to do as-bills?
They're gonna be, yeah, they're gonna be required, on the letter that you folks got from Chris Phillips, to get us up to snuff on everything in the back that has been done, and everything around here has been done, so to speak, in the last 20-odd years or so. That's what they're asking to be done.
Okay, I think what I was trying to ask is a survey the same as an as-built? In other words, are we going to have to pay some additional fee for an as-built?
We don't know if that, probably until they go to the county and to the DEP, we probably don't know what they've asked for information. You guys know that, the board. So until all this information.
Initially, Mr. Phillips' bid for 15.5 could be higher if the DEP requires an as-built.
Well, at this time, the DEP is not requiring anything except for a meeting. And
I understand that. I said if.
okay.
I understand that.
So we're trying to meet the requirements right now for the county. And if the as-built as you're talking about, they can use it, I'm sure they'll use whatever the county feels is acceptable, but there's still a lot of stuff back there has to be added to what Roads Inc.'s as-built you looked at had drawn up. But none of that has ever been approved by the county. County's never seen that as-built, to my knowledge.
Okay, I really don't want to get into Roads Inc. I don't think that's relevant in this conversation. I appreciate the additional information. Thank you.
Okay.
One other thing that, sorry.
Rebecca, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I think I can.
Yeah, okay. I think there's a lot of confusion on what an ABC is and what it is not. The one that Endo got from Roads Inc. was never submitted to DEP. We keep talking about the county. However, in 4 days, you're gonna have a meeting with DEP. And I can pretty much assure you with almost 100% certainty that DEP is going to want an as-built certification. Whether or not they're gonna require a new permit all depends on what you're able to work out. It's good that your engineer is gonna go with you. However, if he is going to develop the site plan and design the system, because right now what's out there doesn't match this as-built that Road gave. So it's totally invalid. That outfall's been changed, and so that's not anything you can submit. So what's gonna need to happen is that Mr. Phillips, should you select him, which he sounds like a good choice to me. He's a PE and he's familiar with it. But one of the things, it's a pretty loose category there of construction documents. So what's gonna need to happen is, if he designs the system, then you're gonna have to get your contractor to build it. he will have to come by after the fact, come back after the fact, and certify that it was built as per his plans. And you'll have to submit that to DEP. Whether the county will require it or not, I don't know. I'm just trying to say it may bump up the cost, and I don't know whether he's considering construction documents as an as-built certification or not.
I think right now, I spoke with the DEP for an hour, and my understanding is what they need is a history. So I think we would be speculating to say anything further. Right now, we are trying to get the requirement for the county. Mr. Phillips and the water board are very, very familiar with requirements of the DEP. I think it's absolutely impossible to say for certain where we go from there. I think we just have to take this first step. I mean, we could say.
All I'm saying is that you need to be prepared and make sure that in that scope of work, that's addressed.
Yeah.
Because somebody is gonna need one.
Well,
And yes, we're speculating.
yeah.
However, the odds are pretty much that
Well,
you're gonna need.
I
So I'm
think
just
we
trying
can't,
to
yeah, I think
prepare
we
you
can't say that.
ahead of time.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr.
You're
Dell.
welcome.
Just one quick minute. The DEP and the county has seen the as-built. When the erosion committee talked to the DEP and they gave us permission to do exactly what we've done down here, they were very much aware of the as-built. So they are aware, and you folks know that, they are aware of the as-bills that we have. And has been from the get-go, and so is the county now. Thank you.
Thank you. So what I want to do is to be able to vote tonight and get started on this. We've already let, 5 weeks go by, and we can sit and speculate, or we can get started. Go ahead.
Ryan, can you hear me?
Yeah.
It's my understanding that Ryan is the only member of the board that has some construction background or experience. So I'm wondering if he has had the opportunity to review these 2 or 3 bids and what his analysis is and recommendation. And also I would ask the question is that at one time there was an engineer on the committee that we had appointed to that. And when we addressed the issue previously about the board approving an action, I made the recommendation to get some feedback or some concurrence or a recommendation from that engineer. If that engineer is still a member of this committee, have we received, or has the board received input or a recommendation or something from that person who is an engineer that probably knows more about it than anybody? And also, it's my understanding that we are still paying for services to provide vendor proposal recommendations, and have we used that asset? And have any of these engineers that we are getting ready to do business with, have we done previous work with them? And I was a little disturbed when I heard that. I mean, I understand that you have a meeting with the DEP on Monday, and there's been some indication that an engineer will come with you or be there to address this. And if Mr. Phillips has already been informed that he's going to be there, that sounds like pre-selection. Now, I don't know if you, let me finish, ma'am, let me finish, and then you can address the questions. The other company, they came and walked the ground, so I'm wondering why a member of the board didn't go with that individual, and then you could compare apples to apples with your recommendation, and it not be that one person did this and the other person did that. And that's all I would say. Thank you.
Thank you. The All three people of the erosion committee were there when Chris Phillips came. They spoke with Phil Phillips and were quite comfortable with Phil Phillips.
The engineer, Miracle.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
And endorse-
All
three of
us agree 100%.
Okay, and what about the other company? Whatever their name is.
Fabre.
Fabre. Would they do a good job or not do a good job? Or is there some reason not to select them?
Well, I think Phil Phillips has more experience around here than anybody. He actually done some work, you should be aware of that.
A little bit louder, Endo.
Endo, can you come and speak to the microphone?
Rebecca, go ahead. Thank you.
According to my information, when you put in the gray water in the back, Mr. Phillips and the Navarre Water Department was very instrumental in doing this work back there. So he has been on the property, he's familiar with the property, and that's basically why Tom and I, Mr. Miracle, felt that he would be a better choice. Thank you.
Ryan didn't respond.
Oh, Ryan, do you have anything to say?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay. Okay.
They fired that.
Yeah. Okay, if we are done with this, we have a motion on the table. Are you ready for the question? The question is to approve the appointment of municipal engineering services. To produce the survey per the letter from the Santa Rosa County engineer, Chris Phillips. Will those in favor say aye?
Aye.
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 Those opposed say nay.
No.
Can you abstain?
Yeah.
Abstain.
Okay, so the vote is 3 ayes, 1 nay, 1 abstention. The motion passes to accept the bid of Phil Phillips to produce to the satisfaction and survey for the Santa Rosa County engineer, Chris Phillips. Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Make a motion that we adjourn the meeting?
I second.
Second.
I'm sorry, you said what, right?
I said second.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
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 Rebecca?
No.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned, 4 votes to 1, and the time is 6:34. Thank you. Unfortunately, I've had a death in our immediate family, and I wasn't going to come tonight. This is a very important meeting. I apologize, but somebody hung up. Okay. I apologize, but I'm afraid I am going to have to leave now. So I apologize for that. Our next meeting will be on January the 13th, 6 o'clock. Thank you.
And I will live here with her. So I'm going with her also.
Have a good evening.
Well, mine won't be good.
No, I'm sorry, I apologize. I forgot the reason that you didn't understand.
Did everybody come off the call? Yes, I
Say it again, Alex. I didn't
said
understand what you said.
I said, asked if everybody had hung up on the call.
You can leave it on.
Oh, I've not hung up.
Do the open
To
forum.
be in open forum, I'll be here.
Yeah.
it's not gonna.
I don't have any other than people who told me that they couldn't.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.